Tunes of Glory, Tunes of Glory, our recycled Ronald Neame film starring Alec Guinness, and much better than Horse's Mouth because it proves that he's a much better dramatic actor than a comedic one. Yeah, I tried. I've been out. It's been a week or so. Anyway, hello there, Nate Jackson, Criterion Collection Reviewer Guy, back at you again after a slightly week of a bit of a vacation for me. Yeah, back at it for the Criterion thing. Number 225, I believe it's 225. Ronald Neame's Tunes of Glory. And oh boy, we got another fantastic one. We've been having some good movies. I mean, I'm starting to get a little more better faith. You know, I mean, I know we got some crappy ones coming up. You know, a lot of Bergman. You know, which I ain't looking forward to, but we got some good ones, you know, and it's like it's movies like this that are surprising, just all the more surprising, you know. I went into it with no expectations. I thought it was more. I mean, from the cover, it looks more like a crime drama or something like that. I wasn't sure, you know, but reading the back, it's way different. So let's talk about it. 1960, 106 minutes, I think, 107 minutes. English, blah, blah, blah. I'm guessing because, look, they put it over the runtime, so, you know, and I like to read those runtimes for you. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah, starring Alec Guinness, who we remember as that painter guy from The Horse's Mouth, which was the other Ronald Neame film. And I think this is actually our last. This is actually going to be our last Ronald Neame film. The other two being Horse's Mouth and Hopscotch. I still think Hopscotch is probably my favorite just because of the strategic. Although I don't know, maybe this one I think is a little better because the plot is a lot better too, I think, than Hopscotch. And Alec Guinness is a great actor, and I think, you know, this is a much better role for him. And but yeah, let me tell you about this movie. So Alec Guinness is a corporal, who runs this. Jock Sinclair, and he runs this. He's control this Scottish brigade, or not the brigade, battalion. And he's kind of he's a tough guy. He demands respect from his peoples, but he's kind of loose too, because he used to be a piper, and then he kind of worked his way up in the regiment. And he is set to retire or kind of just kind of take on the sidelines. And his replacement is a man named Basil Barlow, who's corporal as well. Is it corporal or colonel? No, he's it doesn't say. I forget if it's corporal or colonel. Colonel, I think. And so they run. He comes in, and he's a very strict, he's a very to the book, very, follows the rules, very strict about timelines and, everything. And if you notice something that's out of place, he doesn't care too much about, like, traditions or anything like that. It seems like a lot of the things that Sinclair set up are based on tradition and things that the men did or used to do, and Barlow wants nothing to do with that. He basically says, you know what, this is how the book goes, so this is how we need to do it, And so Sinclair, obviously takes offense to his presence and just says, dude, I don't like this fucker. From their first meeting, there's tension, and it's really, really cool to see Alec, Guinness get his tail in a wad, for lack of a better term. And so basically, he whips the men. Barlow whips the men into shape while Sinclair kind of looks on and tries to let go, but at the same time he can't let go. Things like he asks, Barlow asks, says, talks about the dancing that they do, and he makes them get up at 7:15 in the morning to do like 2 hours or 3.5 hours of dancing by the book, and like doing things like changing things like, I guess one of the dancers has his hands over his head, But he says, no, you're not supposed to do that. You're just supposed to keep them by your sides. And so they have a dance, and Sinclair is part of the dancing thing, by the way, too. And so Barlow steps away, and Sinclair begins to hoot and holler and bring them all into the way of dancing that they used to know. Barlow explodes when seeing this display, and kind of loses respect, because he just, he explodes at Sinclair, and they're like, dude, you shouldn't have done that, that's kind of screwed up, So anyway, knocking over the Tunes of Glory, unscripted knocks, But anyway, so, Tunes of Glory, where was I? After I was so rudely interrupted by my clumsiness. Sinclair's daughter, Morag, and yeah, I know, is seeing this piper, this guy who's like just some other guy and he finds her in this bar with the piper. The men want to have a drink with he wants to treat his men who he sees coming out to a drink. He says, no, you can't go there. Let's go to the bar. Let's go to the lounge. And so they go there, but he sees them. I think he sees her through the window or something with this piper, and he thinks that she's at home, chilling and all that. So he comes in, and he gets hell upset, and he loses his top and strikes this piper guy. And everybody sees it, and so they realize, and the word gets around that he did this, and he's reported, and Barrow realizes that he has to file a court-martial against him, because, he went out of authority, and so, and he isn't sure, he doesn't want to, Barlow does not want to do this, Barrow doesn't want to do this, because he's already starting to be unpopular compared to Sinclair, and so he's just like, I don't really want to do this because it's, I'm gonna lose respect for the men, and they really like Sinclair and all that, and so yeah, so he eventually, he says, Sinclair says he's backed out, and she tells him, dude, lay off, I don't think you should do it, so Barrow eventually backs down and just, but by this token, Sinclair, kind of respects him for this. Barrow, kind of moves on, but at the same time finally finds out that, even though they respect him, the men also still kind of consider Sinclair the leader. And, because he made Barrow dismiss the charges. And even this move, and Barrow realizes that even this move didn't gain any respect from his team. And so Barrow becomes very depressed and distraught by this moment, so much that he goes upstairs where they're all together and like having drinks or something, and he goes upstairs and shoots himself dead in the head. Sinclair finds out with the orderly guy, and he begins to panic. He begins to freak out because it dawns on him that Sinclair didn't kill himself for reasons outside of Barrow didn't kill himself for reasons outside of Sinclair's actions. It was Sinclair who sort of drove him to kill himself. And this really and so he freaks out and says, oh no, what have I done, So he says, you know what, we need to do this, He calls the men together and says, we need to set up this really elaborate, funeral for him. We're going to get all the men, we're going to get all these pipers and all that. And they keep warning him. The brigade says, no, we can't do this. It's not, we can't have something so elaborate for this guy. And he says, no, we're going to do this. We're going to have him play all these songs. He keeps hearing all the songs in his head. And he starts to freak out, and his men slowly disappear until, I think, the captain and one other guy are with him, and he just finally just breaks down and starts crying. And it just, it just kind of dawns on him, that he's basically a murderer, although, it's kind of, he's assisted murder, or whatever you may call it. And Sinclair just breaks down, and they drive him away, and that's the end of the movie. It's it's a very dark ending, but I love just the psychology of it all at the end. It's a very, very neat how they play with sound, and how Sinclair's guilt just kind of takes over, or Sinclair develops guilt actually, and realizes that he's guilty, and he just can't do it anymore. He can't be this guy who's a fun-loving kind of guy. He freaks out, and just loses himself. So I think it's a fantastic little psychological drama at the end. And and just Alec Guinness is great. John Mills as Barrow is great, and it's got some funny moments too. It does have some really funny moments too. One of the guys, I forget his name. Let me see if I can. I'm looking at the cast listing. Let's see, what is his name? I'll know it when I see it. Not Riddick. Dusty. I think it's Dusty. Dusty is when they do the dancing, he's lost sleep, and so he throws his stuff together, and somebody wakes him up. He throws his clothes on over his pajamas, and he starts doing the dancing, does the jigs, and his pants legs start to roll down, and I was laughing at that. That's a really funny scene. So yeah, Ronald Neame has a really good sense of humor. I mean, we've seen it with The Horse's Mouth and Hopscotch. But even with a drama like this, it's still a very funny movie at times. Alec Guinness, his character, even though he's kind of a hard ass, you still laugh at him too. You end up liking him, because he ends up displaying a good sense of humor, just genuine humor, not just not just brash. He's laughing with himself kind of humor. So yeah. Great movie. I'm adding it to the list. I'm gonna get this if there is a sale this week, which I've heard there might be a sale. So, A. Great movie. Supplements. 23-minute interview with Ronald Neame. Just talks about making of Tunes of Glory. There's a 14-minute audio interview with John Mills, recorded at his home, where he just talks about working with Alec Guinness and the casting and all that. And then an archive interview from the BBC. I think of a TV show called Film Extras. Alec Guinness talking about this is his history as of an actor, and they do, I think there's a little bit edited out, but they focus on Tunes of Glory eventually. And and then there's a trailer, and that's about it. So great movie, great package, buy it. All right, so we're back. Now, Wednesday, Onibaba, and it looks like an very interesting, dark film. And then about Saturday we are supposed to have Le Corbeau, although I'm not sure yet. Something's come up, and I'm not sure if I actually will have time on Saturday for a review, because I may have written myself into a corner with planning something on Saturday. So this may not we may not be able to get to this one until next Monday, which means we'd only have 2 this week. But I'm gonna try to make that not happen. It's possible that I may try to do some nighttime reviews. I haven't done any nighttime reviews in a while, or maybe I might do 2 reviews. May do this on Wednesday as well. I'll do 2 reviews in a day. Maybe. We'll see. And if that's the case, then hell, Saturday. If Saturday doesn't work out, then we'll do Salvatore Giuliano on Saturday if it gets to it, But anyway, I'm just letting you guys know we may only have 2 reviews this week. Not sure what my plans are. But yeah, that's that. And and then sometime later, let's see. I also got what else have I got here? I got Scenes from a Marriage, which I can't remember where that's coming in, but it's Ingmar Bergman, so I ain't exactly wagging my tail with joy. A very water damaged cover of Three Women, and eventually Testament of Dr. Mabuse, which I only was able to get the supplement disc, which is kind of upsetting. However, I believe it is on Hulu, so provided there aren't any supplements on the first disc, we'll be good. Because I can, because it doesn't matter. I mean, I can just watch the movie on Hulu and then just do, the supplement disc, and then we're done. But yeah, so that's about it. Yeah, that's it for me today. Thank you for watching. It is Criterion does have Testament of Dr. Mabuse. I mean, Hulu does. So we're all good. Anyway, so yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Let's see. Ooh, that's a good one. Don't, let go sometimes. Sometimes you just have to let go. At the same time, sometimes you need to adapt as well. In the case of Barrow, he needed to adapt to his men. He couldn't. I think he was a little ambitious to expect his men to change at the drop of a hat. Considering how long they had been with Sinclair and how much they love Sinclair too. So sometimes adaptability is something you need to, possess in your life. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching, and we will see you on Wednesday for Onibaba. And until then, goodbye.